agree with you there. I'm excited to see what these two crews have in store for us today.
All right. The flag is up, the flag is down, and this race is off. We got Marcus Jonas, the stroke seat of the Princeton boat, just firing off this Princeton first varsity boat. They're going at an extremely high rate, and they are definitely flying out of the gates, but at the same time, so is Navy. Both these boats are just flying out here, and we are through the 100-meter mark, and so far these crews are neck and neck. It's tough to tell. If anything, there's like less than a half a seat apart from. There's less than a half a seat between them at this point in the race.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on the 250-meter point, and we're just about there. And it looks like Princeton has inched up a bit, and it looks like they've etched out probably a 2 or 3 seat lead on the Navy lightweight 1V. So far through just like the starting sequences, it looks like Princeton has had the upper hand, albeit though it's been a very slight upper hand as this race has been. These two boats are super close right now.
And Princeton now just trying to settle onto their base rhythm. They look to be rated a little higher than the midshipmen right now, but Navy still very much in this race, about half a seat down on the Princeton boat. And both crews just trying to get locked into their rhythm that's going to see them through this middle 1,000.
Yeah, definitely. As we've seen in the last two races especially, there's been a lot of movement within the middle 1,000 of both the last two races. So having a nice strong base rhythm, a nice strong base pace is extremely important today and during any race especially, but especially today with these tough conditions. It looks like kind of in the last minute or so, Princeton has had a really strong base speed, and it looks like stroke seat Marcus Jonas has pushed his crew up to the to the bow deck of the Navy boat, as it looks like Marcus Jonas is now just about even with the bow ball of the Navy 1V. So a really strong base pace, rhythm, and speed for this Princeton lightweight 1V in the first third of this race or so.
And in the middle of that 1V 4 and 5 seat, we have a bucket with Jordan Cabanas in the 4 seat, David Sleer in the 5 seat. Those are two meaty boys. They know how to put down some real power in this middle section, and they're really going to be giving it everything they got to make sure that that Princeton 1V stays out in front during this tough racing.
Oh, definitely. And the bow we have Gianni Pompili, a sophomore. This is his first race in the 1V. He's super excited about it. And just a couple of strokes ago, he actually lost his hat, so we'll see how he responds. But his ears being a little more chilly.
His ears are going to get cold. Let's see how that affects him during the second half of the race, coming up on the 1,000 meters now.
Coming up on the 1,000-meter buoy, Princeton's bow ball is just about to cross it, and it looks like they have maybe a tad bit of open water, maybe a foot or so, maybe a meter of open water.
Princeton about a length
on the Navy lightweight boat. So a really strong base pace and start for the Princeton Tigers. As we've seen in earlier races, this third 500 meter section of the race can be pretty tough. The lake opens up at this point. There's a bit more distance from shore to shore. It could be a little windy over here. The wind could be a little swirly. There could be a bit more tension on the water. So how these crews race this third 500 meters is of the utmost importance to their success today. So this is an absolutely critical time for these two boats.
And if Navy wants to get back into this race, they're going to have to make a move soon because they're running out of water quickly. Already up on the 750-meter mark, Princeton's bow ball crossing it right now. And that's, I'd say, about a third of the length of open water for Princeton currently.
Yeah, definitely. I can tell you from this media launch right now, the wind is whipping at this point in the race. It is super windy out here, so these crews are definitely facing some challenging conditions, but they're racing strong and they're gunning for the finish line.
Yeah, this is some impressive racing out here this morning. Both crews giving it everything they got, and Navy isn't out of this yet. They're still really fighting to get back into this race.
Yeah, never count Navy out of any race. Definitely for the first race of the season, these are some very challenging conditions, so it's great to see both these crews out here just absolutely fighting and duking it out during these tough conditions. And we are just getting up to the 500 meter to go buoy, and Princeton's bow ball has just crossed it. And it looks like in that third 500 meters, Princeton has stretched out their lead a bit more. It looks like they have about a half a length to 2/3 of a length of open water on the Navy 1V. So Princeton had a really strong third 500 meters, and we'll see how they do in this last 500 meters as they kick up their rate, their speed and pressure, and as they execute their sprinting sequence.
And it's going to be up to that stern three, Marcus Jonas, George Dickinson, and Adam Teese, all coming from the UK. It's going to be up to them to really take the rate up and really lay the power down these last, coming up on 250 meters, I'd say. They're going to have to show the other guys, lead them in this, and really set a strong rhythm to carry them through to that finish line.
And Princeton has just crossed into the red buoys. We are in the last 250 meters of this race. We're in the last 50 seconds of this race. And you can count now on both crews to really bring up their rate, speed, and pressure and just absolutely gun it for the finish line. Try to get there as quickly as possible and just absolutely put out the fastest time and most dominant race they can.
And Princeton's not going to want to settle for whatever margin they've got right now. They're going to want to make a statement. They're going to want to tell the other crews in the league, we're here, we're ready to race, and they're going to try and get as big a margin as possible right now, taking it up for the line. They've got, I'd say, about 100 meters left, and they're really giving it everything they've got.
Yeah, definitely 100% there, just absolutely gunning it for the finish line. And they're in their last few strokes or so, and Princeton has just crossed the finish line, victorious with about, I'd say, a length and a half of open water up on the Navy midshipmen, who have just crossed the finish line as well. So with that, Princeton is victorious in the 1V race, and they have won the Murtaugh Cup for the third time in the last 4 years. Very strong day of racing between these two crews. We had a Navy victorious in the 4V race as well as the 3V race, but then we saw Princeton victorious in the 2V and in the 1V race. The 1V race obviously being the race for all the marbles for the Murtaugh Cup.
Yeah,